All right, now to find out how teachers and teachers' bodies, as well as students, will mitigate load shedding, we're joined now by Mugwenya Maluleke, who's the General Secretary of Sadtu. We will hopefully get back on the line. Matakanye Matakanye, who is the SGB Secretary General, National Association of Governing Bodies. Mr. Maluleke, a very good evening to you. As you heard, I mentioned that the basic education spokesperson has said that they don't anticipate load shedding being a problem because there is a schedule and they'll work around it. Are you as optimistic as he is? Do you think that the power cuts will have no impact or interfere with the actual exam writing?
Good evening, SABC, and good evening to the viewers at home. And thank you for the question. Indeed, I am not as optimistic as the spokesperson for the Department of Basic Education, given the history that we have and the experience of 2019 when our students were affected by the load shedding. So despite the fact that we know the schedules of ESCOM, sometimes they miss those particular schedules. It has been an experience that we have that when they say it's a stage 2, it's sometimes extended to be more than a stage 2, and therefore it may have an effect clearly on the students as well as the teachers who are preparing for this examination. But clearly it is that our students in 2021 are really writing under very difficult circumstances, given the fact that they were on rotational timetable whereas they were doing grade 11, and the last thing you want is another pressure on them when they have been going through this immense pressure in order for them to be ready.
Mr. Maluleke, tell us a little bit more about those experiences because as I mentioned to Elijah Mhlanga earlier on, there's been the specter of COVID-19, there's been the psychological trauma of that, many students having lost loved ones, but perhaps fellow students as well. But there's also, you mentioned the rotational studying, lots of socioeconomic pressures. How are they going into this exam mentally? And do you think there's a disconnect maybe between students and teachers?
Well, what I can say it is that the students and the teachers have been working very hard in order for them to be able to mitigate those situations that we were experiencing last year. The grade 11s of 2020, and they are now in grade 12, have experienced a different situation as compared to the 2020 class, given the fact that they have not been able to complete their work. And therefore, there is a pressure already on them, despite the fact that the teachers have put everything they could by really sacrificing their time in terms of holidays, in terms of afternoons and evening classes and holiday classes. Yes, they're doing their best and the students have been cooperating. So what we really would not really want to see is another pressure on top of the COVID-19 pressure, as well as the fact that some of them would still feel that they are inadequately prepared, given the fact that some of the schools did not have the teachers at the time they needed the teachers. Some of them really, the schools kept on closing down even during this year when there are cases, especially when we started seeing that learners themselves started being infected by this particular virus as compared to 2020, because this particular variant that we are experiencing now has been affecting our learners. I mean, in a week you would have 48 learners being affected in a particular school, and these were the grade 12 and grade 11. So clearly it is that the time at their hands that they had was not enough for them to do everything that they wanted to do. But they are prepared, they're confident, but we don't need this particular load shedding. ESCOM must really understand and come to the party and ensure that there is no disruption of these particular learners.
Mr. Maluleke, allow me to welcome into the discussion Matakanye Matakanye, who's the Secretary General of the school governing bodies nationally. From your SGB perspective, how are you anticipating you're going to deal with this situation? We were just talking now about the position that the learners find themselves in, but no doubt the teachers. What is the preparedness level at schools? Is there anxiety from the parents? And we also spoke with Elijah Mhlanga earlier on about the devastation that the school infrastructure itself has suffered as a result of vandalism, but we know that COVID-19 has also wrought its own impact on the schools.
Evening, Sepiso, and your listeners, as well as the leadership, Ntate Maluleke Matakanye wa Sadtu, everybody. We want to encourage and call upon all the South Africans to give support to our children who are going to write exam under these terrible conditions. We know where we come from, and we have been in and out of schools because of this pandemic. However, then we still call all, as well as the Department of Basic Education. We have realized that how much it has worked. Our teachers, our school governing bodies, our parents in support of our children under these difficult times. And we are still expecting that support, particularly from our parents, that this is the time that we must...
What form should that support take?
Yes, support our children.
In what form, Mr. Matakanye, how would you like them to help, including the schools themselves? How can they lend support?
Come again?
How can they lend the support? In what form do you want that support?
Look, there is a problem of load shedding, and we want to call upon the government as well as ESCO that we want support. They must suspend load shedding for this time, so that our children are able to revise at home, our children are able to write well under proper conditions. And that's one other support. One other support is that we want to also request our parents to let these children off the chores at home so that they revise under conducive conditions, and then support every way, whatever they want, as well as the Department of Basic Education, that now they must make sure that where there are no pharmaceutical PPE, they must provide them so that our children write exam under very, very peaceful conditions, and everybody. Okay. So this is the support that we are expecting. Also calling about the transport, that now they must transport these children on time, and call upon everybody to ensure that now conditions is suitable for these children to provide. Right. That's the support that we are expecting. As
we're seeing these electricity pylons there, one is asking themselves about ESCOM's priorities. They said the elections are coming up. They'll make sure that there are no power cuts. So if that doesn't happen, what are the fail-safes that are built into the system? I'm wondering if there is a way that can prevent us dropping the national pass average as a result of this. And we spoke about the anxiety, the desperation that students would feel because of lack of preparedness. Do you think that this would lead to possibly more cheating incidents?
Well, I must say that we don't think that we
on the side
cheating incidents this time around, because we believe that the Department of Education has learned from what happened last year, and therefore they've increased the level of security, but as well as introducing new methods of using digital devices to be able to monitor in terms of how the papers are being collected and how the papers are being transported, clearly by improving in terms of those particular kind of security system. We believe that the integrity of the examination may not be tampered with by those who always intend to rob the children their future by engaging in these criminal activities. Of course, criminals are always planning. Sometimes they're always ahead. However, we believe that what has happened in Gauteng in terms of what they contracted the printers, this is not happening this year. More measures have been put in place, and therefore we do not believe that because of the pressure that is there, it can really lead to these learners really being attempted.
It's such a pity that we have run out of time, but thank you very much to you both. Speaking there to Mugwenya Maluleke, who is the Secretary of Sadtu, the General Secretary of Sadtu. Matakanye Matakanye is the Secretary General of the SGB's Association